Here we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Monday, and I am here with the host with the most, Scott. Welcome to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I'm your host, John. Scott's over here. He's the other host. And if you could hit that like and subscribe button that Scott always reminds me of that I am so negligent with, and leave some comments. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hey, it's nice to be with Tom. What's his name? Bob Dylan, the Bob
Bob
Dylan of podcasting.
Bob
Podcasting.
Dylan. Bob Dylan.
Right? You know,
Come
if you don't like and subscribe, you don't get the Sunday recap. You know, but
a complete unknown. That's what I like
yeah,
to call myself. I'm a complete unknown, right?
right. He's completely Bob Dylan on Sunday, going by himself, living large,
Solo. Okay?
solo,
Hold on.
solo.
Hold on a second. Yeah.
Red,
Okay. Well,
red
I guess I'm not
solo
gonna
cup.
hold on a
I
second.
drink
Hold
you
on.
up. Woo,
Whoa.
woo,
Hey.
whoa,
Hold on.
whoa.
This is Bob. Okay. You're Bruce Springsteen. I'm Bob. Okay. You're hip. You're relevant. You actually can play good music. Um, can you do me a little favor? What is that adorable stuff right over your head in the background? What is that
Ah,
stuff?
in the
What is that?
PMW, we have gnomes
Hmm.
here. Gnomes. They're
Gnomes.
drunken leprechauns that have left the North Pole.
Oh, that's what a gnome is. Oh, I love it.
Look at this. Look at this.
Oh God.
Bring
So
in the cuteness.
he is a former Santa helper who has now made his way to the PNW.
Yeah, he was drinking a little too
Oh,
much.
Oh God, I love it. I love it. I got
It's
to tell
yeah.
you, I still have Christmas decorations up at my house. Your family is so beautiful. When there's a holiday coming, you guys are rolling. You guys
Yeah.
are on it. I love that about your family.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
He will
Ah,
rise.
oh man, he will rise.
He will
Okay.
rise. Hey,
All
hey,
right, I'm
hey,
spiritual. I'm
hey.
spiritual. Okay,
I know you
let's.
are.
I
Hey.
know. I know. Peace out. Peace out.
So, did we get a new blue hat? Is that what I'm noticing?
Yeah, it's a new blue hat. I was told by our mutual friend Billy, goes, you need a new hat. Of course, it's still blue, but I got a little black here in the back.
Hey, we're
And
growing.
and on that note, I want to say we have a mutual friend, and his wife passed away 5 years ago this week. I know this is getting a little somber here, but I want to just tell everybody out there that we appreciate your patronage and listening. And in this season, in this Easter coming up, you have somebody you love, just hug them, just tell them you love them. Just
Amen.
show the love. That's all I'm saying. And we
Amen.
miss your friend. We miss your friend. Well, I don't know. I would say we dedicate this podcast to you. We are going to dedicate this podcast to you. Nobody's going to hear it, but you know what? Hopefully, up in heaven or wherever you are, you can maybe have a little smile today, and maybe we'll tell a joke. Who knows? But
Amen.
off today. We are going to start out with the motorsports recap. Now, F1 wasn't running around, but we did have the boys of NASCAR at the paperclip at Martinsville. And what did you think about the race, Scott?
That was perfect short track racing, I thought it was.
Okay.
Plenty of beating, banging, aggressive driving, saving your tires for the long run.
Hmm.
I did not realize Denny Hamlin has not won there for 10 years. You get
20
so
races. 20 races.
20 races, 10 years. Is that insane? Like, he is so in my mind that he's always winning there because he's won so much, but it's been 10 years. He had to go in there with a whole new setup because he's finished second multiple times behind Hendrick and behind Penske, which I keep telling you, the big three, right? The
Right.
big three were there again all day. And again, Joey Logano, we haven't seen a finishing record like this from a series champion in a long time. I think it was 22 or 23 with Larson.
Right.
That this guy cannot crack the top 15, and he's there. He's getting points. He wins. He's winning the little green white checkers. Because we got to make racing great again. We used to have the Gatorade, mid race flag that would go up, and they would give money to whoever was leading halfway point. They wouldn't stop the race. but they would give money because they thought that's how racing would be great. Now they
Okay.
got these stages. He got some stage points. That's what's saving him right now, but he cannot get his team is getting in his way. And I've never seen in all the years of NASCAR that I've been paying attention to that a team had to stop racing because they ran out of batteries. What's going on with Penske? You know,
Yeah.
Barry's ran out. Cedric ran out of batteries. Like, what are they trying to draw energy up that's causing the batteries to die out so quick?
They're trying to
You
get
know,
an edge somewhere, right? I mean that
they
that would be
are.
the right.
They are.
Yeah.
It's that's interesting to me to wondering. There was a day when Jeff Gordon was the only Chevy winning, kind of like Barry and Priest right now. They're the only
Right.
people getting top fives, top tens for Ford. But there was a time that, they were saying that Gordon had traction control because, he was dominating so well. Back when this other guy named Mark Martin was kind of winning.
Oh,
Uh,
loser.
Loser. Hey, never,
That just for
never.
everybody on the podcast, Mark Martin was always my guy.
He
Okay,
was.
go ahead,
He
Scott. Okay,
was.
that's our little inside joke. You
Yeah. The
guys are
number
going to catch
six.
up. Catch
The number
up.
six. Yeah. Hey,
Number
like and
6.
subscribe if you want to catch up. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. We go off the rails here.
I
Remember that
think I
too.
think I think I bought a used car from you. You're such a good salesman. But continue, please.
Hey. So I'm just wondering, what are they doing? What are they
Right.
doing that's pulling so much electrical that they're doing? Because you add so many electrical components, that means you can hide something. What are they trying to
Sure.
hide? They're at a place that needs traction control. They are up front. They've been doing well. They just can't finish it.
Right.
Unless you're Barry, unless you're Priest, which was your pick. I think you got in the top 10 again.
Yeah, we both had the top 10. And to
Yeah.
recap our bets, we both picked Chase Elliott. He finished fourth. Scott had Bubba Wallace in the top 10. I had Ryan Preece in the top 10. We both hit there. So, I mean, we wish we would have hit the main race, but he was only plus 650. So, you still made a little money if you took our top 10s. And I will say this, that both our top 10s, it wasn't like we were taking Joey Logano to get a top 10, right?
Right.
Some guy who's going to play you even money. We were paying,
Yeah.
our guys are going to pay out plus 250, 275,
Yeah,
right?
you're only seeing these numbers in NASCAR because there was 43 at
Yes.
one time. There's there's all these different things and caution flags continue. They're flip flopping because of the caution flags, the tires. That's what made the racing good. We didn't get to have the complete snooze fest until Denny Hamlin got taken off. Bell tried getting there, but Denny Hamlin just had it locked in.
Yeah.
He raced a great race and 11 against the world, whatever his flag was.
Yeah.
Homage to Ohio State or whoever he's trying to play homage to. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, his podcast is doing way better than ours.
Well, maybe, yeah, for now it is. Yeah, right. Maybe we'll have him on here one day. Who knows?
Ah,
But
yeah.
but I will say this, that
He's in the
the
background.
reason, yeah, I mean, honestly, I personally thought he couldn't get the Gen 7 car on this track. I mean, like you said, he is a short track specialist. He's a great
It
driver.
is.
Okay.
It is.
But that is his specialty. You get him at Dover, you get him at Martinsville. That guy was almost just a chalk top 3, top 5
Yeah.
at the worst, right?
Bristol.
And yeah, Bristol, absolutely, very, very. But now we've seen, and I was shocked. But the reason I didn't put him in there is because, honestly, in the last 4 years, it's been a Hendrick thing in the spring
Yep.
race, like we talked
Yep.
about, and they
Yep.
seem to have the Gen 7 car dialed in. Obviously, Denny and his team found something. Kudos to them. They finally found the winner's circle. He's in the chase, which to me, I don't know how you feel about this. We really haven't talked about it much. It is so absurd to me to think, okay, I'm happy for Josh Berry, but he wins
Yep.
one race and he's in the chase. That I just have a real problem with that whole thing. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems like, okay, at the end of the race, at the end of the season, we're going to have the Kyle Busch, we're going to have Byron, maybe another guy fighting for that 16th slot when, they were superior drivers all year. They just never got that one click.
Yeah, I get it. I get completely what you're saying, but I mean, look at Ty Gibbs. He made it last year, and
Yeah.
the guy can't even get out of the. he's just in his own way, and now he's taking on his own teammates, Wreck,
Yeah,
he loses control, and then his teammate bumps him, and he's like, it's your fault. No, dude, you missed that turn. You screwed up, whatever. But we want the long shot in the playoffs. We want it,
I
right?
agree.
Just
I
just
agree.
like March Madness, we want the long shot. We want
Yeah,
the
I
Cinderella
agree.
story. This is America, okay?
Okay.
Okay? This is America. We like the long shot. It's also why we keep losing. We like the long
Yeah,
shot.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I will say this about Ty Gibbs, and you can, look, I'm going to tell everybody in the podcast, Scott has forgotten more about NASCAR than I'll ever know. But from what I can pick up, and this, I'm picking up what he's laying down. Okay, let's go with that. Ty Gibbs seems really fast in practice, but when he gets to the track, there's something that's going wrong. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I the thing is like we talked about before in other sports. There's certain people that need perfection, right? He
Mm,
can ride the perfect lap. The kid's super fast. He's talented, right? But when you're having to change your lines, when you're coming up on traffic or when you're trying to pass somebody, that's what separates the Denny Hamlins, the Chase Elliott's, the Bells right now, the Larsons. They're able to go find that little bit more. When I was listening to the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast, Dale Jr. needs to run the top of the line, and he'd be so fast at Michigan and California, the snooze fest. And then they go to Kansas and he's railing the line and he's thinking he's flying. And all of a sudden they go, hey, the five's coming. Or actually it was the 42 or whatever Larson was in
okay.
back then. He drove for Target, Chip Ganassi back then. And he passes Earnhardt and he's able to change his line. And Earnhardt's like, I'm smoking this top line. Why is he beating me? Well, there's this little offset that goes like this, right? It would come and then go out and then go in like this. Earnhardt was just going straight. Straight is the fast way, you think. But by that suction of air and him staying right next to there was giving him the 0.2 of a second. And then Earnhardt Jr. says, that is why that guy's dominating, because he's willing to take that extra chance to follow that groove. You know, this is what separates the elite drivers is finding that opposite groove that everybody's looking for. It's easy to go fast straight and hold your line perfectly when nobody's out there. And that I think that's part of Gibbs's issue. And the other thing is it's the stress. Your teammate Bell, your other teammate Hamlin are winning. They're up in the front.
Right.
You know, the poor kid's dad died the day after he won the Xfinity Championship.
Sure.
He's been going through a lot. A lot of people say that Grandpa's buying his way in. But the kid is talented. It's just that I think he's a middle pack driver that shows up every now and then.
Well, I'm not I'm not going to dispute what you say, but I'm going to bring back a story back from the olden days, and hopefully you can help me with who maybe the other driver was. But when Mark Martin went over to DEI, which was like literally a knife in my heart, there was a story that kind of now quit it. Uh, you're the best. But there was a story. They were in the driver's meeting, and I can't remember who the other driver was. It wasn't Junior, obviously, because I mean, why would he take over DEI? Is they were in the or they were in the driver's meeting with everybody, and the other driver was bitching and whining about this. And after the meeting, and this is the greatness of Mark Martin, is he came out and goes, look, those are things, everything you talked about was for the engineers. Okay. You could bring it up, but we have to concentrate on the track. And I think in the beginning, that was a problem that Kyle Busch suffered from. Everything that was outside of his control, look, they're going to figure it out. That's why you have crew chiefs. That's why you have top engineers. Okay. Yeah, you can mention it, but don't harp on it. Don't bitch on it. Don't let it become obsessive that it destroys your performance on the track. You have a job to do. And your job is to be as efficient on every part on that track you can, and things outside your control, let those professionals do what they do. And I think that's what Ty Gibbs is kind of sucked up into at this moment, that
Yep.
he's so scared because the other guys on his team are so successful, and he's sitting there in third place, kind of like when Bush was over there at Hendrick back in the day, right? I mean, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
look, I mean,
I would
whatever
say
that
more
was.
mirrors. I would say more
Yeah,
mirrors than Bush. Bush was
yeah,
winning.
there you go. Yeah, he was, but not
Yeah.
like he did when he left.
No, actually, he left and he still dominated.
Yeah,
Kyle
well,
Bush. Yeah. Yeah.
Kyle
Sorry, kid.
Bush.
Sorry.
All
Sorry.
right,
Sorry.
sorry. Okay, Kyle
Sorry,
Bush
kid.
fan
Sorry.
here. Kyle Bush.
Sorry.
Okay, I want to talk one more thing before we get to the
Yeah.
final four. Uh, what do you think's going on with Joey Logano? I mean, he was just ripping it up, and he is just having the worst luck. And look, it runs like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's,
Chase
yeah.
Briscoe accidentally hit him. It wasn't malicious. I mean, look, you're on a small, short track. There's bumping and grinding, and he just seems to, he was right there at the end. It's just
Yeah.
what it is, right?
It's just what it is. I mean, Briscoe did not mean to hit him. He went up the curb,
Right.
and then lost control of his car because these cars are so low to the ground that, you know, I mean, you're talking about, I think it's only like 2 or 3 inches of the tire. And once it goes flat, like you're bottomed out. You can't drive the car anymore,
Right.
and they've been complaining about this since they built the car. And NASCAR doesn't want to go away from it, because they want that Formula One style tire and rim on there. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, that's not the showroom car that you can buy anymore. All you get is a
Oh,
Chevy emblem.
no.
You
I
know,
mean, look, every car looks the same.
it
I don't
does.
care if
It
it's
does.
the Camaro, the Mustang, whatever, the Traverse, whatever they're saying the car is, okay? It
Yeah,
doesn't really
yeah,
matter. They can call it a Cadillac for all I know,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
they're all the same body style.
Hey,
Nobody's
Cadillac,
different.
Cadillac is already spoken for. Okay,
All
let's
right,
hope it.
all right, all right.
Okay,
God, I
okay.
love you. Man, you're the best. You're the best. All right. All right. Now, what I am going to do is we're going to talk about the final four. And
Oof,
what I am going to do right now, look at this.
oof.
What this is a heat shield, because my main man Scott here is so bloody hot on picking. He sent me his parlays on Friday, and I looked at him and go, wow, okay. And he hit them all. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell everybody out there something. We don't need effing Elon Musk to balance the budget. We just need to give Scott some money and tell him to go to Vegas. He will
Right?
balance the budget literally in a weekend. Scott,
So,
well done. Kudos to
hey,
you. Nicely done. There you go. Salutations. What
hey,
did you think about
oof.
this weekend on the Final Four?
The ones are here. The final four, 11% of people that made brackets picked all number ones to make it. We haven't seen
Sure.
this forever, right?
Right.
When we built our brackets, and especially your bracket, you put all the number ones, and then we went back and looked at it and said, that can't be right.
Right.
There has to be an upseat somewhere.
Yeah.
Talk about going away from what you were thinking about and talking yourself out of a little bet, right?
Right.
That 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 is betting 101. When you doubt yourself and you go back, it's you need to just sit on your seat and go for it. You know what I mean?
I
But
hold on one second. I remember
yeah.
something Nazi Craig, our mutual friend of ours, Nazi Craig, said. And I asked him, he was a bettor too. I've been a bettor my whole life. And I said, I was at the racetrack, and I went up and I gave him the number, and they gave me the wrong number, and I left. And I said, oh my God, I had number four and they gave me number eight. Let's just say whatever, right?
Hmm.
And I asked Craig, I said, he bet horses all the time. He was very, very good at it.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you do? He goes, you put that ticket in your pocket and you go back up and buy, and put another $5 on for number four. Don't talk yourself out of the bet. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
It's
And
true.
that's what you're
It's
saying.
true. It's like what we talk about when you go up to make a bet or I go up to make a bet. You never put the bad juju and say, I wouldn't do that. And then when it hits,
Right,
you're looking at him
right.
going, yeah, you were right. You should have done that. My bad. Everybody has a perspective. You just got to let it go. My daughter, she's over here. doesn't tell me about a bracket that's happening at her work,
Okay.
upsets me, and then
Okay.
tells me
Okay.
that this person doesn't know nothing about basketball and
Sure.
does what we always talk about. Why I like orange better than I like yellow, and I like
Right.
purples better than blue. And then
Right.
who a cougar can beat up a lamb, so why wouldn't you pick the cougar? You know, this person, no clue. No
No
clue
clue.
about basketball.
No clue.
And now they're winning the bracket at the work. And
Right.
I'm thinking, isn't
Well, it's
that
all
what we
number
always talk
ones. I
about?
mean, right? This is
Yeah,
people who really don't know. I remember a couple of
yeah,
years ago in Vegas. I don't know how long it was. It was actually when Tom Brady was still playing. But Vegas went through about a 6 or 8 week period where all the favorites were crushing. I mean, literally all the favorites were crushing. And people like mom and pop and people who didn't understand football were cashing 16 parlays. And I'm going to
right.
tell you something. In my entire life, I've cashed like two 5 team parlays. They
Ooh,
are tough, right? I
ooh.
mean, it's tough on tough.
Uh, that's
I
that's
barely, literally, I could barely hit a 3 team, right? I mean, it's a hope and a prayer. Get the prayers out, right?
yeah, yeah. I had a four-team parlay, and my rule is never do a four-team parlay. So I pulled Tennessee off and did the three-team parlay,
Sure.
and then Tennessee still won. But I also only took the money line. I didn't take the points. Thank God,
No, I understand.
because eight and a
You would
half
have got gutted.
points.
Well,
Houston
yeah,
at 8.5 points, and they barely won with point 0.8 seconds left. That
right.
ain't
But
eight
I
and a half
mean,
points.
that
Yeah.
especially at this time, and you really have to worry about backdoor covers. Ole Miss was playing somebody the other night. They were down by 6. They hit a 3 pointer with 1 second left. The point spread was 4.5.
Four and a half.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. I was sitting next to a gentleman and he looked over and I was like doing this because I was like, yeah, my parlay is still alive. And then, and he had
I've
this
had that
look
guy
of,
next to me. Yeah,
right? And he had this look of like, oh, shoot, did you
yeah,
just bet the parlay? And he goes, I said, did you bet the
yeah,
points? He goes, yeah. And I go, oh, it went off at like 4.5 or something like that, you
yeah.
know?
Right.
And he's sitting there trying to do the math. He brings over his ticket to me. I go, whoa, what do you got going on here? He bet the points for the first half and the second half. They're two different
Sure,
points. He had
sure.
a winning ticket. He won $400.
Oh, God bless him. See,
Yeah.
there you go. See,
I'm
Scott,
all
that's how
thank
hot
you.
you are. That is
Yeah.
how hot you are right now. You're so hot. The guy next to you who thought he lost, when he shows it to you, it's a winner.
Right. He said I pulled off the overall points and I just went for the first two, the front and second half. I'm like, oh, you got
Yeah.
lucky, bro. You got lucky. Oh my
Uh,
God.
so,
Yeah, good
so
times.
any observations outside the point spreads and anything when you watch the final four this or the final eight, excuse me, final 16 this weekend? What did you take anything away from it going into the final four?
I really thought Houston showed some notches in their armor, and I thought Tennessee was going to show up on that. They did not, but I
Hmm.
think Houston's lining up against Duke, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I think
they're
I
four and
think
a half point underdogs. Duke's a
I think
bigger team. We're going to see what
yeah.
happens.
I think Duke takes them out. Duke and Gators. I don't see that monsoon of a wave stopping against those two guys.
I I was surprised that Florida had more problems than I thought they would have
Hmm.
getting to the Final Four. I will say this, and I kind of went off on this the other last night slash this morning is I do not, I do not on any level understand how these coaches can be so negligent with athletes. And I'm going to talk about Johnny Broom at Auburn. He has had injury issues all year. He fell. I thought he hyperextended his knee. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. His
Right,
arm, his right arm, he's a left-hander, was totally it was just destroyed, right?
right,
He couldn't even lift the thing up, right?
right,
And then they
right.
run him into the locker room. And then, as if Willis Reed or Kirk Gibson, they bring him back out. He plays a little, but he couldn't even move his right arm. He
Yeah,
couldn't move his right arm. And they're all happy. And I'm thinking to myself, it's the same thing I said to you before the first weekend. Why are you bringing Cooper Flag out? You know, these players are not coming back. This is going to be the last game he plays, or the last two games, whatever. And why are you risking hurting this guy's career? But at the end of the day, you know, lace them up. That is what pro sports does. And I was talking about that with Brian. Is, you know, he says if you're on the field, you should play. And I go, but they shame you into playing. They put so much pressure on these alpha kids, guys and girls. Let's make no mistake, because girls are just as damn competitive as guys. And
Yep.
they say, well, we need you, you know. And let's be honest, they shoot them up in the locker room. They shoot him up with painkillers and go, can you go? And of course, he's going to say, yeah. And I just do not, they run all these stupid commercials. We care about the athletes. Bullshit. They don't. And I saw it there with Bruce Pearl, because he was like, I don't care if there's a 1% chance we can lose this game. They were up by 10. It wasn't a competitive game, and they still bring the guy in, and they don't really care what happens to his career. All right, I'm done.
Hey, you're right about that, but you'd be on the same other foot if they lost. Look
You're
at
right.
Michigan State. They almost came back from 10, right? When
They
they went
did.
against Houston. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're saying the same thing. Like, hey,
Well,
the guy over
Michigan
there
State
gets
was
stuck.
playing Auburn. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
Sorry, my
Yes.
bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
There's
It's all right.
too much sports going on. I'm too worried
I
about the
know. I
torpedo
know.
bat.
Oh, you're good. Oh, you are good. The torpedo bat. The
Yeah,
Yankee secret weapon. Once again, the evil empire tries to find another diabolical way to cheat the edges.
yeah. The torpedo bat. How is
Hmm.
that cheating though? If the diameter's two
Let
and a
me
quarter, it
explain
doesn't
something.
tell you at the. I want to hear
Let
it
me,
from Jay. I
you're going to
need.
hear it. You're going to hear it.
Did you
If the
cover this
Yankee,
already,
no, I didn't
Brian?
actually. We didn't.
Brian, your baseball guy did go over this.
We didn't go over this. We were talking about the
Ah,
Red Sox.
it's
But
hot. It's hot. Here we go.
there's the hot take. If the Yankees do it, or if the Dodgers do it, I know inherently it's cheating. We may not have discovered it yet, okay? I will say this, that they got the shipment of torpedo bats from the Houston Astros. So that's my first inclination there might have been some cheating, okay? No, I don't know if it's cheating. They had a great weekend. Maybe Milwaukee, their pitching staff sucks, but man, they on Saturday they missed an extra point. That's why they only scored 20. Right? I mean, it was just like, wow. I'm looking at them going, geez, I don't think they're that good, but okay, let's go with it, right?
Right. So their reasoning is that these hitters are getting pitched inside so much. That's why they thickened it up in that one spot.
Right. Closer to the
It
handle.
it's
They
still
took it
two
off
and
the
a
barrel.
quarter. It's
Right.
still two and a quarter, the diameter. It still fits all the same standards, the length and
Right.
everything. It all fits.
Right.
It's just that if you're always getting jammed, you know, and you're not hitting the sweet spot on the bat, who say you that it's wrong or right? MLB, that's who says, but you
Right.
know, the justification, and are we looking at now that the AI has popped out and said, hey, if you thickened up the bat right here, we would get on base a lot more quicker.
That's exactly what's going on. AI
You know
is
what I mean?
is showing aerodynamics, they're showing bat speed, they're showing something that
Right,
this organization's going to.
right. Because, you know, Brian may know more. I've never talked to the gentleman yet because,
We're
we
going to
haven't
get a
gone.
podcast with all three of you. Let's
Okay,
move on. Move on.
okay. But I know there's different bats for every batter.
Sure.
Sammy always had
Tip
it like
size.
a
Hmm.
toothpick, and then went out to this huge barrel that went out to
Yes.
two and a quarter to hit the. McGuire had the same thing. And then you go and then you grab the poor pitcher back when pitchers were only allowed on the National League, right?
Yes. Right.
Right.
To hit.
Their
To
bat,
hit.
their
Yes.
bat was basically two and a quarter the whole way because they needed to protect their hands. They didn't
Correct.
have the big old nice cracking bat.
Right.
So,
Right.
what is the difference between the big mass being at the top as opposed to in the middle? Why is this a big thing? Is it just because it looks ugly?
Well, I think they had such an outstanding weekend that
Yeah, they
everybody's
did.
trying to figure out why it was, right? And
Yeah.
for people who don't understand what exactly Scott is, and I thought he explained it really well. the top of the bat is really super thick. Typically, that's the typical thing. That's where they add the weight to it because typically the pitches are going to go outside. They're going to be able to launch it hopefully into the stands for a home run. Now they're getting jammed so well and so proficiently and efficiently that they're trying to bring it back. So instead of a little check swing, maybe they can hit a double because there's more bat mass there. For everybody else, if I didn't explain it well, the old bat is like Scott's bankroll after this weekend. It's huge. Okay. The new bat is like my bankroll. It's zero. Okay. It's really dissipated. Okay. That's why Scott has back injuries because he's carrying that big load. Don't worry. He lives in Washington, Eastern Washington. If you want to find him, go look for Bigfoot. Okay. That's where he lives.
Hey, before we sign out, where is Jay today? I see
I
you're
am
in the
in,
car.
I am in
Where
the
is Jay
car.
hiding?
I
Yes.
am in Upland, California. I'm down the street from the Tesla plant, and this is kind of my little jam place to hang out. If anybody sees me on the street, say hi. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. All right, all right, all right.
And if you find him at Costco, he is the hot dog man.
I am the hot dog man, son of a bitch. Out of the 10,000 people they serve a day, they know me as the hot dog guy. And every so often I'll get a slice of pizza and they're like, "Oh, you're changing it up." I'm like, "Wow, how messed up is this world?" Son of a gun.
They're calling over. They're calling over the manager because they already put your order in.
you know, I've been lucky enough to have Scott as one of my best friends for over 20 years. And back in the day, I used to go to Subway all the time, and Scott used to joke at me, "Here's the cold cut
Cold
guy," because
cuts.
I order the
Cold
same
cuts.
sandwich every day.
Cold cuts. Get your cold cuts here.
Oh,
Oh,
you're the king. So, for everybody who's listening, Wednesday, Scott and I are going to do a hockey. We're going to talk hockey and whatever sport we get to, torpedo bat, whatever. And then Friday, Scott, we're going to be expecting to hear your final four picks.
I'm
And,
down.
where's NASCAR going this weekend? Do you know offhand? Okay, we're the
Is it?
NASCAR
Yeah.
experts, and
Yeah.
we're not even sure where they're going.
I'm so worried about bringing up the torpedo bat and catching you off guard.
You did. I
Yeah.
like it. I
I
like
gotta,
it.
I gotta be ready for
Yes,
you.
uppercut. Whoa, whoa. Down goes Frazier. Down goes
Yeah.
Frazier.
They might be in Bristol. I'm not sure. I gotta check.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get everybody up to date on Friday,
Hey.
and hey, I got to tell you, Scott, we've both been pretty hot on our picks, especially
Yeah,
the
we
top
have.
10 guys. Scott's
Yeah.
been really on fire. We have yet to hit a winner, but we're getting close. We're getting
No,
close. I don't.
I had Larson. I had Larson Homestead.
Oh, you did. I had Homestead.
Oh,
I stand. Wow,
hey,
wow. Whoa, whoa,
that
whoa.
that
Don't
new
hate.
blue hat, man. You gotta get some
Is
better
cutting
juju
off the
on that.
circulation to my brain. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm going to blame. All right.
Yeah, this
All
is
right,
why he's the Bob
everybody.
Dylan. He's the Bob
The Bob
Dylan.
Dylan. It was actually for all the heat coming off my brother Scott. But hey, everybody out there, can you hit that like and subscribe button and leave some comments? And we will see you soon.
Today.